Hello everyone, Nesu here. So now I'm going to explain in this video for ERT and HRT and also staff responses upon receiving a case, which means whenever any of the staff lah, especially HRT receive the information from one of the parents or the student that they are positive lah. So let's see, don't forget that ERT team means emergency response team. So it is inclusive of Miss Lily, Mr. Q, Miss Nazira and me. It is either me or Nurse Go because I won't be seeing you all from tomorrow onwards for April, right? So Nurse Go will be the nurse that taking over me lah. So you just take note of all the emails that you're supposed to include us in, yeah. Like let's say for example, if you have a case, please email. You can email Nurse Go and then CC Miss Lily, Mr. Hugh and Nazira. So keep all of these emails in loop whenever you have a case or you are reporting a case, yeah. So this is just the latest HRT list for you to refer to. If there is any changes, you'll just amend accordingly, yeah. This is what I had from Miss Nazira at the early of the year. No, not early of the year. I mean at end of Sem 3 lah, before this term open, yeah. So the flow is actually once you receive the information, as you can see here on the first column, once you receive the information, is either RTK or PCR positive also okay, you must inform ERT team immediately, which is Miss Lily, Mr. Hill, Miss Nazira and also the nurse, yeah. So then the contact tracing stage will start, yeah. So the HRT of P1 to send list of subject teachers to nurse, which means let's say one student in class 2 Edison is positive. So 2 Edison, HRT must send the list of subject teacher to nurse, and nurse will identify, call up these positive students' parents to identify who is P2. P2 means who is the close contact of the positive student. And then the nurse will list the P2 which is out of the classroom. Let's say I said just now the positive case is 2 Edison, right? So if let's say the 2 Edison student, let's say Ali lah, Ali say, oh, I actually not only very close with the one in my classroom, I also have close contact with the one in 2 Galileo. So the Sarah in 2 Galileo sit with me side by side and we were talking without mask on. So that is actually 2 Galileo Sarah is considered P2 already. Once we identify the P2 which is out of the same class, we need to inform to the respective HRT, yeah. So what we're going to do is those P1 which is the positive case will be contacted by nurse to the parents and explanation all done, and then the respective class of the HRT of P2 will contact the parents of P2. For example, like I say, Ali in 2 Edison is positive. Then he told that he got close contact with Sarah from 2G. So HRT of 2G will be notified by the nurse to call 2G Sarah's parent. Okay. Once call Sarah parents already, there are some skills for you all to learn up how to talk to. So we will let you know, yeah. So let's continue first with the flow. So once we already identify and informing P1 and P2, we're gonna inform all the staff involved. So that is why just now you will see that I go back, yeah. In contact tracing list, the HRT need to send the list of the P1's subject teacher. So this is a list. So once the list of teacher is already have in, so inform the teacher and also the staff. So informing that time, we're going to make sure that the teacher of staff do RTK and respond the email if the person is following SOP, no direct exposure and all well during the week or not. So if let's say like 10 teachers identify as the subject teacher of the particular student in 2 Edison, so then the teachers will need to do RTK and also respond the email lah. The nurse will send out the email, yeah. Then the teacher just need to respond accordingly. Then there will be total disinfection and the misting. The nurse will raise the maintenance ticket and Miss Nazira and the guard will monitor if it is done nicely or not. So then the nurse will do the reporting. So nurse will report to PKD and JPNS and also HR department if let's say any of the staff involved. So this is done by nurse, yeah. So after that, actually I should say simultaneously, when all things happen like just now, Miss Lily and the team, which is Mr. Hugh and also Miss Nazira, will help to send out email, and of course the whole ERT team will discuss whether it is a class closure or school closure. Usually just involve one class, of course it's only one class closure lah. So if let's say like just now 2E is the positive case, so 2E will be closed class for 5 days. So notification will be sent out to the class parents that 2E going to close for 5 days and when will that open, and also the whole school parent will be notified of a case in 2 Edison. So the nurse will advise on the reopen date lah, together discussion with the ERT team, yeah. So after all that have done, then there will be follow up. The follow up will be done by the nurse and also HRT, as in like let's say 2 Edison Ali not supposed to come for 5 days, so the home quarantine said release on day 6 only. So then he need to do one RTK before he resume back to the school, and also if there is any PCR result to be traced back. Sometimes PCR take 1 day or even 48 hours also can. So just follow up the results and also the date, the confirm and the definite date of returning to school. So how the nurse or the ERT team decide on the date of returning to school, it is much depending on the HSO from the MySejahtera apps. So that is why it's important whenever we know any case which is either is positive or it is close contact, we must advise the parents and also the student accordingly, yeah. So this is the summary of how long should the person be at home and all. Okay, if you see from here, this is case positive. So case positive, the isolation date for those who already received the booster dose, they will need to require to be at home for 7 days. But if let's say it's already what we call that 2 doses only, also 7 days. But if let's say never have any vaccination or only taken 1 dose or 2 dose or what, so then it will, I mean the 1 dose or the not vaccinated at all, then the positive person need to stay home for 10 days. And of course this is just a reference calculation, yeah. We still follow the HSO, the release date from the HSO. So this is for positive case. Whereas for contact rapat, when they update the MySejahtera, they also will come out with how many days they are supposed to be at home if let's say they are symptomatic and if they receive the home civilian order. If they did not receive the home civilian order, we're going to follow this chart. Let's say for example, most of our student is lengkap vaccination, which means they got 2 doses, they don't have booster dose, so they fall under this category. And if let's say they are bergejala or tidak bergejala, if once they are close contact, they are supposed to stay home for 5 days. So when they stay home for 5 days, on the day 5 they're going to do one RTK test before they come back to school on day 6. If let's say on day 5 the RTK result is negative, MySejahtera status all normal for the close contact, then on day 6 the close contact can come back to school lah. So this is an example of how the calculation is. But of course for teachers, if you are not sure, please do not inform the parents of the exact date of returning home, yeah. You always consult and discuss with the nurse, because the nurse will be the one who refer to the HSO or they do the calculation. So the advice, like I say, the nurse will call P1, which is the positive case parents, to update the MySejahtera status, to screenshot the status change and HSO, and also any RTK or PCR test. And then only when the P1 fulfill all these criteria, then the P1 can come back to school. That is why I say teachers do not decide on how many days and when the student can come back. Let the nurse do the thing, because the nurse need to see RTK, make sure it is negative a day before returning to school, and the student supposed to be asymptomatic, and the MySejahtera supposed to be back to normal status without any home civilian order. And also the parents supposed to what we call that, update the school of any changes. So all this advice for P1 will be done by the school nurse. So when it comes to P2, remember just now in the flow, if let's say the P2 is identified as out of the classroom, which is another class student, so the HRT of another class will be the one who do. For example, like just now I say Ali case in 2E, so he declared that he got close contact with Sarah from 2G. So 2G HRT will be the one who calls Sarah's mother and explain that how many days she cannot come and what to monitor. So like let's say for example, the student is actually already done the 2 doses of vaccination, so 5 days cannot come, on day 6 only can come back to school. So if the HRT is not sure about this, so please consult the nurse before you call the parents, because the nurse going to call quite some parents for this P1 and also P2 of same class. So P2 from other classroom will be called by those involved classroom teacher lah. So usually there won't be so much of calling for the HRT lah, unless unfortunately the P1 from other class is actually exposed to your student lah. So then the nurse will advise lah the HRT on when the student, exactly the date the student can come back. So you just ask the nurse lah. So otherwise there are some additional advice which is actually good for us to tell the parents as well, because it makes the parents feels that, and of course we care lah, makes the parent feels that we are in control of the situation, and we advise them accordingly. If you look at it, it is actually just an additional advice because it is much more on disease control in this home setting. So you can advise the parents to isolate the P1 in separate room and provide medication to the P1 if let's say symptom is mild to moderate, and if it is severe to call ambulance, and to monitor the whole family member as well, and perform RTK at home when needed, and to disinfect the whole house with Clorox or Dettol, and also air the house by opening door and windows except for the room which is the isolation room lah. We don't want the isolation room germs to go into the living room and also, and to follow instruction from My Sejahtera accordingly, because My Sejahtera will have the home civilian order. In the home civilian order there will be some instruction that they need to follow. Okay, so this is just additional advice. Whenever either the HRT or the nurse is calling the parents, we always follow all these steps so that the parents will not be so panicked also, because I'm quite sure they need some help as well. So this is just a simple flow, and you will be seeing these slides I will be sending out to you all and share with you all, and also I'll be sharing the whole flow in the F4 PDF file as well. You all can refer whenever you all need it lah. And of course, if there is any case, any query, always discuss with the nurse, and the nurse will advise you accordingly. Okay, so no worry one we will do it together. Alright, that's all for this video. Thank you.